We'll see some advantages and disadvantages of DBMS over file processing system. The first advantage is redundancy of data, controlling data redundancy. Now, what do you mean by redundancy? So the redundancy occurs when the same piece of data exists in multiple places. The same data in multiple places means several copies of same data in the database. So redundancy causes insertion, deletion and updation anomalies. The redundancy can be avoided by normalization. You take an example of banking system. A customer opened a savings account in a bank. So he'll fill the application form in traditional file processing system. After some time, he wants to take gold loan. Again, he will be asked to fill another application form for gold loan. And after some time, he wants home loan. Again, he will be asked to fill an application form for home loan. So, in traditional file processing system, what happened here? The same customer details are in 3 different applications. One for savings account opening, one for gold loan, one for house loan. So same piece of data, name of the customer, address, phone number, Aadhaar card, etc., all same data exists in multiple places. The data inconsistency. When the same data exists in different formats in multiple tables, same data exists in different formats in multiple tables is data inconsistency. Data redundancy can cause data inconsistency, so which can provide an unreliable or meaningless information. We'll see a simple example. So as we discussed earlier, as I mentioned earlier, the banking system. So just imagine the customer's address is changed. So in traditional file processing system, the customer data is in 3 forms, and we need to make change in 3 application forms. This is what in traditional file processing system. So if you want to make some insertion or deletion or updation, you have to do it in all the forms. So the advantage of DBMS is you put everything in one single form. If at all you want to make some changes, it's very easy to make changes. So here we are avoiding duplication of data redundancy, and insertions and updations and deletions can be done in the easiest format. So we can have more information from same amount of data. And sharing of data. Once the database is created, anyone who is having authorization, so is authorized, means who is given permission to use the database, can be used. So he can open the database in his system and he can check the details of the customers of the bank. Once the database is created, anyone who is having authorization, who is authorized, who is given permission, can open the database. So improved data integrity. So integrity involves both physical and logical issues. Physical integrity includes the issues which are related to storing and retrieving our data, and primarily the storage devices, memory components, and any associated hardware. So we have improved security in case of database approach. Unauthorized users cannot use the database. They'll be having usernames and passwords and their access right. So what do you mean by access right? So we have different types of file access in database. Someone given with read permission, someone given with write permission, and etc. So means retrieval, insertion, updation and deletion. Only authorized people can do the changes. We can give read permission to someone. Only the person with read permission is able to open the file. He can read it. He cannot make any changes. The person with read and write permission, he can open the file, he can read it, he can make the changes if he wants. Next, enforcement of standards. The data formats, naming conventions, procedures for updation of data and access rules. So everything will be in a simplified manner in case of database approach. So economy of scale. Cost saving is very important in any organization. So you're combining all organizations' operational data in one particular database with several applications. And the balance of conflicting requirements. So we'll be having a structural design in the database with many integrity rules. And the conflicts between users or departments can be resolved. And the decisions will be completely based on the best use of resources for the organization. And improve data accessibility and responsiveness. So we'll be having integration in database approach. Data accessing can be crossed departmental boundaries. So increased productivity. And this approach provides all the low-level file handling rotations, all file handling routines. The programmer to concentrate more on specific functionality required by the user. The end user satisfaction is very important here. And maintenance is very easy. So increased concurrency. So database can manage concurrent data access effectively. So no interference between users that would not result any loss of information or loss of integrity. Every person will be having an authorization based on the usage of the information. Will be having different levels of authorizations, different security levels. Improved backing and recovery services. This is very important. So in case of failure, the backup and recovery is very important in databases, as database contains huge amount of data. We'll be having modern database management system. We have various facilities to minimize the amount of processing that can be lost following a failure by using the transaction approach. So we have various disadvantages also. The complexity. We need to maintain database in a proper manner. You need to give training for administrator, designers, and the people who are using it. It must be in an easy fashion, but the database is always in a complex manner. And the size is very important, as it contains huge amount of data. We need large amount of disk space. And the cost of DBMS is very expensive. Even once the installation is completed, we need to make annual maintenance for the software. And periodical updation is also very important if you are working with DBMS. The cost conversion plays very important role, because we are making the file processing system to database management system. The company is required to have some additional expenses. You need to go for software, you need to go for hardware, and the training cost. So everything comes together under cost of conversion. And performance is also very important, as we have many applications. Some applications may not run as fast as before. So that's one of the disadvantage. And higher impact of failure. What do you mean by this? Due to centralization, all the users and all the applications completely depend on the database availability. In case of any failure on any component, can bring all the operations to a halt, and it affects the services to the end users. End users means customers. These are the advantages and disadvantages of DBMS.